If you're ready to push past your limits and start making bold moves in business and in life, this is the place for you. Welcome to Beyond Bold, where we dive into bold ideas, take action, and build the future we want to see. I'm your host, Kyla Bolden, and I've been an entrepreneur and founder in the tech space for almost 10 years now. In some episodes, I'll share what I've learned and mastered, from tech tools to growing your business to using AI to hack your everyday life. Other times, I'll be joined by amazing guests who are building their dream lives. We'll cover everything from personal growth to practical strategies for success. With that, let's jump into today's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond Bold podcast. It is your host, Kyla Bolden, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you are listening to this when it comes out, it is now December, and we are entering into the holiday season. The holiday season is honestly one of my most favorite times of the year for multiple reasons. First of all, Christmas. I love Christmas. I love all the traditions that surround Christmas and spending time with family. I've actually spent most Christmases in Bermuda, as that's where I grew up. And we're actually planning to go back to Bermuda this Christmas, which is super excited because we did not get to go last Christmas. But one of the other reasons why I love December so much is because it's almost the new year. And it's just an excellent time to reflect on how this year went and then also start planning to make the next year the best it's ever been. And I think there's a lot of pressure January 1st or the end of December to get prepared for the new year and become such a new person and do everything correct. And that's one of the reasons why I truly believe you should start planning for the new year in Q4 and really in December. And it's the perfect time to do that for multiple reasons. Things slow down a little bit when it comes to business. Some companies are off the whole month of December. I know a lot of tech companies used to do that. So there's not as much outreach you could do. And then, at least for me, those few weeks during Christmas are one of the only times a year where I actually get to relax. Not the whole 2 weeks, but like I actually get to plan, and there's not as much like customer facing things to do. So it's just a really, really good time to take a step back and figure out, okay, who do I want to be going into this new year? And one of the things I've been seeing a lot on social media, I would say over the past 6 months, is the idea of a dopamine menu. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's been really trending, and at least it's been on my timeline a lot. And the official definition of a dopamine menu is a personalized list of activities that can help you be happier and more motivated by increasing your dopamine levels. And when I saw it trending, I was like, wait a second, Kyla, you've been doing this for years. Like, honestly, I've been doing these lists since I was a child. And it started at first because when I was young, I wouldn't get homework and I wanted homework to do. So I would always just make a list of things that I could do, tasks that I could do, and just check it off. Even if the task was something that like I was doing for fun, like play with my Barbies, I would check it off on a list. And honestly, my version of a dopamine list is a little bit different than what you see on TikTok. I've actually called it my highest self list for years now. I've called it that starting in the pandemic. And when I really started to intentionally do it again was during the pandemic because, our lives were just less structured and I needed a way to say, okay, today was a good day or I lived today to the best of my ability. And, we didn't have as much to do. So I would make these lists. And if I did a bunch of the things on that list, I would just know that, like, okay, today was a good day. So let's get into really what this list is. So, as I said before, it is called my highest self list. And your highest self list is basically a menu of activities that align with the best version of you. And one of the things I want to stress is that it is not a to do list. You don't want to look at this list as, okay, I have to do every single thing on this list. But it really is just a list of activities that you know that if you do some of them, or rather a lot of them, you are working towards being your best self. And you're also working towards having a productive, balanced day. What I like to use the list for is I have it hanging up next to my desk. And whenever you have a moment, instead of scrolling on your phone or getting lost in distractions, you could just pick something from that list to do. And I also really rely on the list when I'm not in the best place. So whenever I'm super stressed or I'm experiencing anxiety or I'm just not having a good day, like everyone has those days, rather than stewing in my thoughts, sometimes it really helps to do things like get active, be active, get out of your head. And what I do is like, okay, rather than me journaling all about my problems or calling a friend about my problems or talking to myself in my head about my problems. Let me just do things on that list. And I know all of the items from my highest self list are things that will make me happier and proud of myself. And I think confidence and self esteem has a lot to do with just keeping promises to yourself. And my high self list are a list of things, a list of promises that I know that if I do them, I'll have a good day. So that's really what I look at the list as. As I said, it's not a to do list, it's really just a guidance on how to live a day being your highest self, your best self. So, in this episode, I am going to tell you guys how you could create your own highest self list. I'm going to quickly tell you guys how to do that and the homework that you need to do beforehand in order to honestly know how your highest self lives. And I'm going to tell you guys my highest self list. Okay, so before you create your list, you have to define who your highest self is. And this is really important. And honestly, if you haven't done this before, I would say that it's going to take some time to really craft who you believe your best self can be. And when I say your highest self, this is the way that you believe that if you didn't have any limiting beliefs, if you had all the money you needed in the world, if you were happy with yourself in every single way, how would you act? How would you talk? How would you go about your life? Who would you hang out with? How would you act at work? What time do you go to bed? What time do you wake up? What do you like to drink? What do you like to eat? How do you work out? Like, I want you to get really, really detailed. And this is honestly an activity, like I said, that could take a while. And your highest self will change the more you think like this and the more you dedicate time to doing this work. But for now, you could use these journaling and meditation prompts that I'm about to give you to figure out who your highest self is. And here are some questions I want you to think about. So, the first one, if money wasn't a factor, how would I spend my day? What activities make me feel most alive, focused, and grounded? What habits would my best self prioritize? What time does my best self go to bed? And what time does she wake up? So, those are some of the journal prompts that I would like you to do. Try to spend at least one journal page or two, preferably, on each prompt and just like write whatever comes to your mind. And you'll eventually see that you're starting to craft a version of yourself that is truly the best version of yourself. Okay, so answer those questions. Take 30 minutes to an hour, 90 minutes to answer it. And then what I want you to do is then start a list of all the things that your highest self would do on a daily basis. And I think the best way to do it is actually to separate that list into five categories. And I have mine separated into five categories. It's mind, body, spirit, career, and community. Mind, body, spirit is a bit obvious what that's about. Your career is what you do for 9 to 5, which could be your passion. Like for me, I'm an entrepreneur. So my 9 to 5 is my passion. But let's say you work a corporate job and you also want to have a side hustle. It could be your side hustle and your corporate career that you're focused on moving up into. And then the other part is community. And what I mean by community is how can you better the people around you? And that's your family, that's your friends, that's your neighborhood. So I separate it into those five categories. And then what I do next is separate it into the times of day I typically do that task. So that could be separated into morning activities, midday activities, evening activities, nighttime activities, and then standalone activities that could be done any time of the day. And one of the reasons why my highest self list truly helps me live my best life is because I implement habit stacking into my list. And so I do have some standalone items in my list, but a lot of my list is tasks that I do together. So just to give you a little preview, it might be listen to an inspiration podcast while cooking a meal. So I get two things in there. One, I listen to my inspirational podcast. And the second one is I make sure that I'm eating during the day because I work from home and it's really easy to just power through the day and not eat anything nutritious. So incorporating habit stacking into your list is something that's super helpful. And I think it's one of the reasons why my list is just so amazing and helps me truly, honestly live really good days day to day. And before I get into what my highest self list is, I want to say two things. The first thing is that one of the reasons why I love this so much is because I truly believe if you're anything like me, you have these really big goals that you want to achieve. You have life that you want to live, that you see yourself living, that you know you can live. And sometimes it's so easy to get so caught up in your long term goals that you forget the day to day things that actually get you to your goals quicker. I think a lot of us underestimate what you can do in a year, what you could do in 6 months, what you could do in 3 months. Honestly, your life could change so quickly. And I've had moments in my life where it seemed like overnight things have changed drastically. And I think we all experienced that during the pandemic and in some ways for worse, but in other ways for better. But I really believe it's the things that you do day to day that helps you get to your goals quicker. I always like to say you have to win your days so you can win your weeks, so that you can win your months and then win your quarters and then win your years. And if you are just focusing on your quarterly goals, your yearly goals, that is the easiest way not to achieve your goals. You have to set up the tasks that you want to do every day that somehow correlate to your highest self, you in the state of having achieved all the goals that you want to achieve. And by doing that, you will actually find that you achieve your goals quicker. And then, most of all, that you live a life that you enjoy and that you're proud of. And the second thing I want to say is that my list isn't going to be your list. However, I have given my list to multiple of my friends, and they have taken it and done things off the list and taken some things on and put some new things on it. And they have all said that when they do this list, they live their best days. They are productive, they're happy, and most of all, they are proud of themselves. So not to brag, but humble brag, I really truly believe that if you take inspiration from my list, you will find that you are really a lot more productive and that also you're just happier in living a life that you enjoy. So, here is my highest self list. So, the first is my morning stack. The first thing on my list is pray, praise, and visualize. So, make sure that I wake up praying, that I give thanks, and then I visualize having the perfect day. And this is actually something that I do when I'm waking up in the morning, every single morning. I find it's a great way to just start off your day. And then it's kind of cool that I could tick off something off my list even before I get out of my bed. So that's one of the reasons why I like it. The second thing I have is read my Bible, a gratitude list, and do best case scenario journaling. So I would describe this second activity as all part of my focus morning journaling ritual. So for me, it's reading my Bible, and I really suggest getting some type of devotional, even if you're not religious, but some type of reading that you could do in the morning that you are learning and you are putting your mind in the best mindset possible. Then, as I said, my gratitude list. And then my best case scenario journaling is literally just me. And sometimes it's 5 minutes, me just taking a page in my journal and writing down what is the best case scenario for my day. And sometimes I have things that I'm nervous about that day. And so I would write as if the best case scenario happens. So if I'm nervous about a meeting, I would just write, oh, this meeting went well. This person really liked me and the product, etc. So I find best case scenario journaling really, really helpful. And guys, this is all just one item on my list. And as you see, it's three different things. And they all take me maybe 15 minutes to do, maybe 10 minutes to do, honestly. But like I said, habit stacking is really, really helpful. The other thing is a tall glass of lemon water in the morning. And it's great because I could get my first 16 ounces of water in. And guys, I have 28 things on this list. So I'm not going to give an explanation of every single one. And oh, it's interesting. I have 28 things and I am 28. What a funny coincidence. But yeah, I'm going to go through all of them, but I'm not going to give an explanation for every single one. So the next thing on my list is do makeup. And this is because I don't do my makeup every day, but I know when I do my makeup, I feel good. The next is 30 minutes of outdoor movement. This is super important. I live in Toronto at the moment and it is super cold. And it does not matter. Just 30 minutes outside really does make me have a better day and puts me in a better mood. And bonus points if it's in the morning, which is why it's in my morning stack. But sometimes I do this in the afternoon. Number 6 on my list is intentional exercise. And what I mean by intentional exercise is that you could go on like a really kind of like quick walk, like let's say a 10-minute walk. That's not intentional exercise. Intentional exercise is like, okay, I'm doing some weightlifting. I'm running X amount of miles. I am doing some squats or a HIIT workout. Like, it's really important, and I think especially as we get older, like I'm 28, to think about exercise intentionally because I used to run cross country and track, and it's very easy for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna go out and run 5 miles, even if I'm not fit. And then I end up hurting myself because when I was 17 years old, I could do that and not suffer any injuries. But now I'm a little bit older. And so that's why I really think exercising intentionally is really, really important. And what that also means is that, like, if I already ran 5 times this week, it's not really smart for me to go do another run, right? That's how you get injured. So intentional exercise. And then I have that paired with core exercise because for me, my core is something that I really want to focus on. So I want to pair any exercise that I do with a core workout. Number 7 on my list is listen to a sermon and make breakfast at the same time. This is really helpful because it gets my head in the right space. I listen to somebody that I find inspirational and someone that I trust. And when I say sermon, this could be a motivational podcast, it could be a religious podcast. I typically listen to a lot of Sarah Jakes, which is TD Jake's daughter, or Joel Osteen, but like Mel Robbins is great. So listening to one of those and then making breakfast is really, really helpful. And then after I make my breakfast, it typically takes me 15 minutes to make my breakfast. And also the sermon is typically 15 minutes because I listen to it on 2 times speed, as you might be doing now, listening to me. And then the next thing I do is I make matcha. This is number 8. So make matcha. And this is also habit stack. So make matcha and listen to Weightless by Macaroni. I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. Marconi Union. It's Marconi and then Union. I saw, oh my gosh, what's his name? Huberman. I saw Huberman talking about this. And this song or sound, you can find it on Spotify, has been proven to decrease anxiety. And at first I was like, okay, like honestly, like this makes no sense. But when I listened to it, I honestly felt so much more calm. So listen to it. I promise you, it'll help you get into a really calm and clear state. And yeah, so those are the 8 things on my morning stack. Okay, moving on to my midday productivity stack. And I call it my midday productivity stack because it's really more focused towards career tasks. And like I said, my high self list is really not a dopamine menu. It's similar, but I feel like the dopamine menu is really just like quick things to make you feel good. And these are things that will make you feel good and be successful in the long run. So the first item on my midday productivity stack is follow up with 3 potential customers, reach out to 3 past customers. That's the second one. The third one is take 2 moonshots. And what I mean for moonshots is two actions that you could take in your business that you know if it went perfectly, your business would be in a drastically different state. And so if you don't have your own business, this could be in your career as well too, or in your passion project. So that might be like emailing that brand for a partnership. Or since I work in ed tech, it's like contacting that school or contacting that corporate sponsor. When I say two, I don't want you to do it like haphazardly, but I really want you to think intentionally and think, okay, what are two things that I know if I did it and it went the way I want it to do, my life or that goal that I've been working towards would be so much more in reach, or maybe you will achieve that goal. And I think we should be doing moonshots often. Often, often, often. That's how they happen. You don't just win by like shooting your shot once and being like, okay, I'll try again next week. Doing those 2 moonshots a day means that you'll be making what, 10 moonshots minimum per week, and then 40 moonshots minimum per month. And then with that, the likelihood of some of those actually falling into place, especially if you are using these moonshots intentionally and not just like emailing people willy nilly, really thinking about who would be helpful to you or what will be helpful to you to move your life forward. And then also, I would say following up on those moonshots, imagine where you will be, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. So this is number 3 on the midday productivity stack, 2 moonshots. Okay, so number 4 is clean your desk. Number 5 is drink 40 ounces of water. And this is before midday, so before 2 o'clock, before 1 o'clock, and this just helps you achieve your overall water goal quicker. And then also, I do find when I drink too much water towards the end of the day, sometimes it's hard to get a good night's sleep because I'm waking up too much. So, getting 40 ounces at least before your workday is over is really, really helpful. And then the sixth one is message a friend and tell them that you love them or give them some support. And this really falls under the community pillar. You have those 5 pillars: mind, body, spirit, career, and community. And I really feel like when you give love to other people, it feels really good. It makes you happy. And in some ways, it attracts more love back to you. So message a friend, tell them that you love them, or give them some words of encouragement. Okay, moving on to the next stack, which is what I call my evening wind down stack. And, I'm recording this episode and I'm realizing that, oh my gosh, this really might make me seem really anal. But honestly, guys, I'm just being honest. This is what I do. I love making lists. I love taking things off. I love literally like taking off, hanging out with a friend, sending a friend a text messages. Like that might make me sound crazy. I do understand. But I'm hoping this podcast attracts people that, want to live their life a little bit more intentionally. And honestly, people that might be a little bit addicted to making to-do lists like me. So please don't judge. But I promise you, if you try this, you will find that you are living your days very intentionally and you'll become addicted like I am. So that was a little disclaimer. Moving on to the evening wind down stack. So these are things that I do to get me out of the workspace because honestly, I could work sometimes till 11 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning. Like just being honest. And I really try not to make that what I do every day, and it's not, but I do it more often than not just because of the stage of life where my business is right now. But when I'm living more balanced, I find that having an evening wind down stack is just a good way to make sure that does not happen and that you're getting more sleep. And then honestly, with more sleep, you're able to be more productive during the day so you don't have to work really long. So in my evening wind down stack, I have a foot bath, which is something that just makes me feel so luxurious. And I pair that with watching a good TV show or listening to a nice podcast, something chill that's like funny, not something super focused towards productivity. The goal is just to relax. My second thing on this list on my evening wind down stack is go on Pinterest and listen to happy music at the same time. I think Pinterest is one of the coolest ways to dream and just kind of like see new visuals and get excited and get in a good mood. The third thing is write down 3 things that you are thankful for, and then as well as plan your next workday. So I actually typically do this before I do anything like foot bath or go on Pinterest, but at the end of my workday, I write 3 things that I'm thankful for that or went good that day, and then I plan my workday for tomorrow. So I write down my tasks for the next day. The fourth thing on this list is listen to upbeat music in 5 minutes of abundant incantations. So, what I mean by that is listening to music that makes you feel good and not music that makes you feel angry or music that like has like really intense beats. I'm talking like Coldplay, like, that type of music that makes you feel like really good. Like Imagine Dragons. Like, you know what I mean? Like Lotto, I mean, those are really different, but like when I listen to Lotto's music, I just feel like the baddest. So, listen to music that makes you feel really good and then tell yourself things about yourself that you either want to embody, that you know is true about yourself. Really, it's just like affirmations, but I learned when I took a Tony Robbins course, the difference between affirmations and incantations. And what I noticed is affirmations, you kind of just say them and you're trying to get them out of the way. Like, and I used to wear affirmations all the time. But what I really mean is by incantations is like you are saying these words with your whole chest, you are believing them and you're embodying them in those moments. And I also sometimes call them positive self talk rampages where you just tell yourself good things about yourself. Like, imagine you are, I don't know, you are your significant other or your potential significant other, and you are being told all the things that they think is amazing about you. And honestly, we are all our own best partners, so we should be doing this to ourselves anyway. But I really think being intentional about it and just saying them with your whole chest really, really does amazing things over a long period of time. So that's number 4. Number 5 is clean your room and your workspace. That's really obvious. And the other one is read a book for 30 minutes. And I've seen a lot of dopamine lists or like productivity lists that says read for 15 minutes. And why I say 30 minutes is because if you look at the amount of time you spend on TikTok each day, it is probably over 30 minutes. Like a lot of us spend over 30 minutes on social media every day. And when I say over 30 minutes, a lot of us spend like 3 to 4 hours sometimes. Like I know on the weekend, like personally, I could get really bad. So you have time to do 30 minutes of reading. So push yourself to do it. And yeah, that's my evening wind down stack. Okay, moving on to my nighttime sleep stack. So this is really short. There's only 3 things, or rather 3 points on it. Some are habit stacks, which makes them more than 3. But the first one is take magnesium. You all need magnesium, so take magnesium before bed. Be in bed before 11 p.m. and do nighttime visualization, which is really when you drift off to sleep, visualizing tomorrow as a success or visualizing a future successful self and kind of like role playing. It's just a really good way to drift off to sleep and get yourself in a positive state before you hit REM sleep. And the third thing is get 7 hours of sleep. And I would actually tick this off in the morning for the next day if I get it. So this is actually something that's ticked off at the start of my day. Okay, and the last stack is just standalone activities. And some of them are activities that if you do, I promise you, your days will be infinitely better and really can be done anytime throughout the day. So, the first one is cold shower. Guys, there was a time in my life where I was taking a cold shower or ice bath. I actually had an ice bath at my house almost every single day. I kind of got out of it recently, but I've been implementing it back into my routine. And I promise you, if you get an ice shower, especially at the beginning of your day, 30 seconds, honestly, a minute if you can, 3 minutes or 2 minutes rather is optimal. I promise you, you're going to feel so much calmer, so much more peaceful, so much more focused during the day. I promise you. It is something hard to do, but 2 minutes of pain and uncomfortableness really will set you up to have a perfect day. So, one is cold shower. The other one is feed your mind. So, this is like listen to a podcast that helps you become smarter or teaches you something new, an audiobook, read an article. Honestly, like you should really subscribe to a magazine or a newspaper. Read something that's like helpful for your brain. The third one is eat intentionally. And what I mean by that is the criteria is really have 2 high protein meals for me because that's what I'm focused on, having a lot of protein and a lot of fiber. So if I have 2 high protein meals a day or 2 healthy meals a day, I could tick that off my list. Fourth one is give love and do something nice for others. So this might be helping a family member or a friend with something, leaving a nice comment under somebody's photo. Like honestly, just like to be nice, right? And like spread love. And I have paired that, I have habit stacked that with do something nice for yourself. So that could be buying yourself a little treat. And honestly, you can't get a little treat every day. I have fallen victim to feeling like I need a little treat every day when it comes to coffee or cookie or whatever. But like something nice for yourself would be like, I don't know, like giving yourself a foot bath or like stretching or something like that, booking yourself a massage for a couple weeks away. Like that's what I mean by do something nice for yourself. Meditate, honestly, like breath work, like that. Those are things that will make yourself feel good. 5 is drink 80 ounces of water. So as you know, like we've been trying to drink 40 ounces of water before midday. So by the end of the day, drink for 80 ounces of water, and that we have spread it across the day. And then the 6th one is kind of different, but you could tick it off if you spent under an hour on social media cumulatively. So that's TikTok, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, even LinkedIn, whatever. If you look at your screen time and it's under an hour, you can tick that off. The goal is really under 30 minutes, but if you could get under an hour, then you're able to tick that off. And yeah, that is my highest self list. And like I said earlier, guys, and I know I'm saying this a lot, you probably will not do all of these things every single day. You might not do half of these things every single day. But the goal is that if you do these tasks, you're living more intentionally and you're doing something that's good for yourself and good for your future self. So I would just try it out. And I would also make your own one. Like I said, you could try my one, but try making your own one. And that really starts with figuring out who your highest self is. So, guys, I am going to have this list on my Substack, which is in the show notes, so that you could see this entire list. And I'm also going to give you guys a guide on how to create your own list. And oh my gosh, I'm being so nice. And I'm going to give you guys a Google Sheet that you could copy that could track all of your highest self tasks. And it's actually going to have my highest self task on it. So I'm going to give you that Google Sheet that you could just copy and so that you could track how many of these things you're doing each day. And I really suggest tracking it in Google Sheets or in your notebook. It just is nice to look at the end of the day and be like, oh my gosh, I did all these things good for myself. And I don't want you to look at it like, oh, I did 50% of these things. Oh, I did 20% of these things. Oh, only did 1%. You should look at it as, oh, I did 3 things that was really good for myself or in my future self today. Like, look at it like that. It's not a test. It's not a requirement. It's not a to-do list. It's just simply a menu of things that that if you do some of them, you will have a good day. So, guys, thank you so, so much for listening. If you make a list, DM me and tell me what your list has on it. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Kyla Bolden. Please follow my Substack. I post in detail a lot of what I talk about on this podcast so that you guys don't have to be taking notes. You could just like go to my Substack, read it. I also post a lot about my life, my journey as a founder, helpful tips, gift guides, a list of things that have made me more productive, etc. So definitely go check out my Substack. And guys, it would make me so, so, so happy if you rate this, give it a 5-star, give a comment on different topics that you might want to see me talk about on future podcasts. And honestly, it would mean the world to me also if you share this podcast with a friend. Doing this has made me so happy. It's nice to have a project outside of like my startup. And as I said in earlier podcasts, I feel like a lot of the startup world, the entrepreneur world, especially for women, has a lot of smoke and mirrors. And it's really hard for us to get good, honest advice. And that's what I try to give you here. So thank you guys so much for listening. I really, really appreciate. Go off and have the best week, make December the best month ever, and prepare to have amazing 2025. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thanks for listening.